If you follow me, then you know I love the horror genre. It's my favorite. It's my go-to. It is literally the best. And I am a huge vampire fan. I love me a good vampire movie in the horror genre. But if you look at werewolf movies, there's not as many great ones as you think there are. There's definitely good ones, but there's not like an all agreement, an amazing ones besides American Werewolf in London. In 2010, we had The Wolfman come out with Anthony Hopkins, and that movie's not good. But I have a little bit of a guilty pleasure. Just a little bit, but it's not a good movie. It is a bad movie. But now you have Leigh Whannell, the director of the newest Invisible Man, doing a Wolfman movie? Sign me up. Wolfman is about a family at a remote farmhouse is attacked by an unseen animal, but as the night stretches on, the father begins to transform into something unrecognizable. From director Leigh Whannell, the man that wrote and starred in the original Saw movie and has also directed a movie called Upgrade and the newest Invisible Man, we are talking his Wolfman. This is a Blumhouse released film, and I know a lot of you are like, ugh, Blumhouse. Listen, I really like Blumhouse. I've always appreciated their style of making horror films and letting the directors do their thing. Yes, last year was not a good year for their studio. All right, we can all agree on that. But when you have Leigh Whannell, the man who made The Invisible Man, which was my favorite movie of 2020, but it's not saying much, I am signed up for whatever he does. Now, the movie Upgrade, I really appreciate. I don't love it as much as everybody does. It's a good movie. It's a movie that's grown on me, but I appreciate it more than I actually like it. So with this one, I want to see a good werewolf movie, okay? And you got Leigh Whannell. You got a pretty good cast here. And I saw it today, and man, oh man. Is this already the biggest disappointment of 2025? Okay, let's get into it. Let's go ahead and get straight into the positives. This movie looks very good. Now, this is the same cinematographer who did The Invisible Man and Upgrade with Leigh Whannell. The movie looks absolutely great. I love the scenery. I love the sound mixing and the sound design in this movie. The atmosphere of this movie is so well done by the cinematographer and what Leigh Whannell is doing behind the camera. I love the crane shots. I love the setup in this movie because it really does set you in a mood of these scary woods in this lonely house, and there is a monster out there. I think the movie does a fantastic job with all of that. Seriously, this sound design, the sound mixing is so good. The howl of the wolf, the roaring of the wolf, like it's some really good stuff here, and I really like all of that. When it comes to more of our actual werewolf, I think this movie takes risk. And you know what? I love seeing the risk. I love seeing something different. This movie does not follow Silver Bullets, Full Moon, or any of that. And I want to let you know all that before going in, because this movie does take risk. And I, unfortunately, did not love all the risk it took. And I just walked out of this movie extremely disappointed, especially after watching The Invisible Man in 2020, because Leigh Whannell made such a great story arc of The Invisible Man about a domestic abuse and then connecting that story. In this movie, he does a good job setting up this father figure who had a rough childhood with his dad. In the opening scene of this movie, you get to see that. Now they're deciding to go to the farmhouse and bring the whole family, and it's trying to set up this entire storyline of the father and the daughter and how he doesn't want to treat her like he was treated when he was a kid. And it has a great starting point. Like the first 25 minutes of this movie, I was into all of it. There's something to do with his wife. They want to reconnect. They go on this trip. They get there. When this happens, you see in the trailer, the car and this thing is flipped over. It's such a good scene. As soon as they get in this house, from that point to the end of the movie, I became really bored. And the movie kind of forgot all about that character development. And I left this movie just wanting a little bit more. Now, the movie's very secluded. It's a very easy watch. The main guy who plays the Wolfman, who is Christopher Abbott, he was in Kraven the Hunter. He's good in this movie. I think he does a really good job building a relationship between him and his daughter in this movie. It's very cute and it's very emotional when he starts to change and things are happening that's not going the way they want to. I think it's really good job about how they show that he is a human who is turning, but he doesn't want to turn. He doesn't want to hurt his family. And they do a good job of that. And I really bought that relationship between him and his daughter. Then you have Julia Garner, who is a fantastic actress on Ozark. I mean, she is literally a star. She is such a good actress, especially if you've seen Ozark. We all know it. She's given nothing in this movie, and honestly, she was okay in this movie, and that hurts my soul because I love her in Ozark and how good she is. She's given nothing. She's given that the wife role of which she's just there. She's not helping as much until she's alone with the daughter, and she makes dumb character choices. And again, I'm not blaming her. I'm giving more of like the script an issue because they do a really good job in the very beginning setting her up like, I'm a bad mom. I want to be good to our daughter. That is never resolved or built into the second half of this movie. It's literally like the movie forgot all of the buildup in the beginning of this movie. The dad beginning to want to not be like his dad. They kind of go back to that in the end of this movie in a very, very predictable fashion. I don't want to spoil anything, but there is something about the scenery and what's going on. I found it very predictable. Again, I can't say anything without spoiling it, but if you've seen the movie, I think you can kind of understand what I'm trying to say. Basically, the dad and his wife and kid are stuck in this house because of a wolf outside. This plot line is very predictable. That's all I can say without spoiling it. And when it comes to Julia Garner, this development with her daughter is never built upon, and they do a good job in the first 20 minutes. And after that, when they get to this house, nothing happens with that. It becomes a movie where it's all about the dad who is completely changing, and it's really cool to see. The prosthetics and the makeup on him is really good, and what they do with his body is really cool. But now here comes the issue, which is going to be very divisive. We have a Nosferatu situation. Either you're for it or you're not. I was not for it. I do not like the final design of the Wolfman. I'm sorry. It felt like, to me, such a down-to-earth, realistic Wolfman, if that makes sense. But it doesn't feel like a Wolfman, and that is my big issue. The movie is called Wolfman. It's a universal monster, and it's being presented in 2025. They're going for that realistic fashion. To me, it didn't feel like a Wolfman at all. It felt like the last transformation before the final one. That's what it felt like. I didn't absolutely hate the design. I just felt like we needed, you have the design, now put more hair on him and let's give us the wolf. They got the great sound design, the great wolf, but the final design I was not a fan of at all. It literally made me feel like I'm not watching a werewolf movie. And that's my big issue. I walk out saying was it a Wolfman movie? And again, this gets into minor spoilers, but it's in the opening text of the movie. They do not follow the rules of a werewolf movie. This movie treats it like a disease. I like that idea. But when you present it and give us the fashion of how it looks, it felt like more of a zombie. It felt like more of almost a Fly situation, where it felt like a monster, but it didn't feel like a werewolf or a wolfman. The sound of it is, but the look of it, to me, it wasn't pleasing in my opinion. I was not a fan of it, but I can see people liking it because it's something different, and I feel like it's going for more a grounded look of the Wolfman. And by the end of the movie, again, I just walk away really disappointed. They do such a great job setting up this movie, but as soon as we get in this house, it becomes really slow. It becomes predictable. They lose all the character motivation they were building, and when it leads to our final werewolf design and our big transformation, I was left disappointed. So for me, the movie just got worse and worse and worse. And one more thing, and this one's very picky. I don't know if it was my theater, But there were some really dark scenes in this movie where I could not see a thing. Now, there's one scene in particular where it's super dark, but it's meant for a reason, because when you go in his point of view, it's really cool how he's seeing things. So that scene, I'll give it a pass for. But there's other points in this movie I couldn't see shit. Again, is it my theater or was it all of you? I want to know down below. But either way, I found it disappointing. I think Leigh Whannell is still a very good director. Again, there's some great cinematography, great camera work. There's good performances, there's good body horror, but I feel like the character motivation, the themes that he was trying to build, and the overall final conclusion of our werewolf movie just left me so disappointed. I'm going to give Wolfman a C. Again, if you go and see this movie and you really enjoy it, I'm really glad. Seriously, this is just my opinion. I can see people really liking it. They're liking that it's something different. And you know what? That's fair. Maybe if I really can just watch it again and give it the respect it deserves of something different, maybe it's an upgrade situation. I didn't like Upgrade the first time I watched it. It took me a few times. But for me, with such just a standard in werewolf movies, it felt like it was trying to differ so much that by the end of it, it just lost me as a Wolfman movie, honestly. And that sucks, because it's called Wolfman. Anyway, guys, let me know down below. Go see the movie. Give it your own opinion. Don't just follow mine. I still like Blumhouse. Don't worry. I appreciate what Jason Blum is doing. And I still like Leigh Whannell. Invisible Man is so good. Anyway, guys enjoy this movie review. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everybody.